Well, Paul, things going quite nicely for this team of yours at the moment, particularly in the last 6 games, 4 wins, a draw in your last 6. What is going well from your point of view in particular?
They talk about both boxes being decisive. I think we've really cleaned up defensively. We've got a really good defensive record. I think since that first half in round 1, we've been really good. Best defence in the league now, 10 goals against. So that's helping a lot in terms of being able to get more results because we're just a lot more defensively solid and pressing really well and the team's working hard. And then I think at the opposite end, we were creating a lot of good opportunities in the final third. Now we're transmitting that into like shots on goal, and that's leading to us being able to score the goals that we need to get the points. So yeah, it's kind of coming together, and I sort of feel like the players are really starting to feel like in the rhythm and get in tune with each other. And so yeah, it's been a good run at the moment, and long may it continue.
How much do results help when you're trying to instill a playing style into the team? You're saying, okay, do this, do this, do this, and we'll be successful. And they're doing it, and you are being successful. I mean, how much easier is that for you as a coach?
Yeah, I think it's really good to get the rewards for what you do. We've talked about certain things within our playing style that work on the pitch, so we want to try and do them as often as possible. There's still frustrations around, like it doesn't always kind of pan out how you want it to, and in terms of like how the games go and things. But what the team's getting better at is kind of sticking to the principles that we're trying to put in place and bringing them out more often. And I think that helps because it just increases the level of performance. So yeah, I'm happy with the progression that we're making, but I'm also excited because there's way more to come, and I think we can still continue to get better, so it's good.
Where are the growth areas in this side, the main ones?
I think we're still battling a little bit with what I guess I'd term like build or break, which is like, are we building possession and kind of controlling, or are we breaking to try and score? And it's just those moments where we are kind of like breaking when we should build and building when we should break. And that's a real kind of fine art, and you need to get a feel for that. So that's kind of like a bit more of a longer term thing that we're working on and keep kind of touching on. So I think that element will enable us not only to still be dangerous, but then be able to control the games more. And I think that's like evolution of a team that's trying to like progress, is like to try and get more control of the game. So I think that's definitely one area. I still think we can be better in the final third in terms of decision making and really good goal scoring opportunities to create for each other. There's still progression to work there. And of course, like individually, I think players are like, some are like starting to hit a little bit of form, others there's still more to come. So there's kind of always those little 1-2% in your performances that you can get better as players start to kind of like get into their rhythm and start to play. So there's still more growth for the team, 100%. And I keep talking about belief. This is like, for me, the results help with that, as you say, but for me, that they just got to keep believing in themselves, because when they put it together, they're a force,
In terms of team selection, are you at a point where you've kind of got 7 or 8 players who are pretty much going to start week in, week out, and then you tinker with the rest? Because you do seem to have quite a bit of competition for places in certain positions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've named the same match day 16 now for about 5 games in a row. So that's good, because like there's some continuity with that, and there's some continuity in the team selection, but there's always players like pushing each other, and it's just those little details. What's been really good from my perspective is I've been able to change players in the team depending on like tactical approach and kind of little alterations that we might make tactically, players that are more suited to that particular role. So actually a lot of the changes are not very often performance related. It's more around kind of this player will do that specific job for this specific game, and then you'll see like the changes happen again, like for different reasons. So I think it's really good, I guess that kind of consistency that they're giving in terms of quality means that we can then make those type of decisions based on what's needed in the games.
Olivia Ferguson's off the mark, and 2 in 2 games now. Do you feel like strikers need goals to score goals to get momentum, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, they absolutely do. If we think back to last season, there was a pretty dry patch for Speckmeyer, right? And then she kind of had that run where it was like one after the other, and I think it ended up being like 8 in 8. This is kind of what happens with goal scoring. You see it in the highest level, like Chris Wood can't stop scoring, can he? Like it just goals fuel more goals, 100%, and you just get more and more confident. Her dad's coming to Sydney, so she's going to score again. So yeah, it will be. It's good. I'm really pleased for her. She's working so hard. I think she's like doing so much for the team that is kind of unseen. The way she sets off the press and the way she kind of gives us the energy to go and like defend from the front, I think is exceptional. And like she's contributing so much to the team. And I know that she really wanted to get off the mark, so it's nice now that she's got 2 and 2.
And just on the table, you look at the table, does it feel to you as though the two Melbourne teams, Victoria City and Brisbane, are kind of not necessarily a lock, but looking good for the 6, and then everybody else is in a battle for the other 3 spots?
Yeah, I think the two Melbourne teams are really strong with their squad, City and Victory, and we've obviously played them recently away from home, so like arguably on paper those are the 2 hardest away games of the season. So we've played them now, which I think will help. They do look strong, and Brisbane are playing some amazing football and deserve to be where they are on the table. So at the moment they're setting the pace, aren't they? And everyone else I think is kind of struggling a little bit for real consistency. We've picked up some good consistency, which has led us getting into that mix now. And so for me, it's just about kind of regulation of points coming through, and that's kind of our focus now, like game by game, like we just need to keep picking up points. And I think if you do that, you're going to stay in and around the 6. But it's such a tough league to predict, isn't it? You know, like no one would have thought Canberra would have gone to Brisbane and won 2-1 last week after the way Brisbane have been playing. So you just cannot predict anything or kind of even think, oh, this will happen. You have to take each game as it comes and take it on its own merit.
And just finally from me anyway, the 3 games in 8 days plus travel twice. I know one's only internal in Australia, but you're jumping on planes, you're trying to recover, you're playing games. What sort of challenges does that present to you as a coaching staff and a playing group?
It is challenging. The 2 games in succession on Thursday night, Sunday is a challenge for any team. We don't often do that in this league, the midweek games. Everyone's having to do it though, so it's fair and equal. But the challenge for us is, I guess, we have to get the balance right of kind of which players are going to go back to back and be able to play 90 minutes at the level we need them to back to back, and where we freshen up the squad. We're going to take an extra 2 players with us on this trip, so we'll have 18, and it gives us that ability to bring new people in, bring freshness in. I think that's going to be really key. Us and Adelaide are playing midweek, and then we've got to both play on Sunday, so I think both teams will need to look at the way that they freshen things up and get something of that new energy. How we're doing at the moment with that is really good, because the impact that we're getting off the bench is phenomenal. You know, that the players are coming in and like making a real impact, and that's filling me and the team with a lot of confidence that we do have those players that can come in and renew that energy, which is so important to the way we want to play.
And when you come home, you don't put apples in your backpack coming back to New Zealand?
Don't do that. Don't put apples in. It's an expensive apple, isn't it? If you come into New Zealand with an apple, no, don't do that. Tried and tested. Yeah, oh look, you've got to give props to the yellow fever, haven't you? I wondered if they would even notice, and then I turn up and they're all holding apples, and I just thought, here we go. Like, they've got good banter, I'll give them that. So, very, very good from them.
Just a couple from me. You mentioned about how unpredictable the league is. This week even more unpredictable, given Western Sydney have parted ways with Robbie Hooker? Yeah,
it's difficult because you don't know if they're going to change things up. Do they have enough time to do it between the games that they've played? Obviously, new coach bounce, a little bit of maybe new energy, all those things you have to deal with when you're playing Western Sydney. All of it's out of our control though, so for us it's really just about putting in the performance, I guess, that we're looking to put in, and targeting some areas that we have, like obviously based on what they've been doing currently. Whether they change system, change the way they play, that will be a challenge for us on game day to kind of figure out as we go. But we've got the things that we're focusing on, and I think that's all we can really control at this point.
And you play for a trophy when you play Western Sydney.
Yeah.
Who's taking that over, and does that mean something extra for the team?
Yeah, I think it's always nice. We've won that now like twice in a row. So I think it's always nice to have something on the line. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily like added motivation, but it does give us something. And yeah, it's currently ours, so we've got to hold on to it. So yeah, for sure.
And just finally, we're about to speak to Karolina. How important has she been at the back and the last line of defence?
Yeah, so good. Just super impressed. I think like we knew the calibre of goalkeeper we were getting, but bearing in mind she hasn't been a regular number one, I think now we're sort of like 8-9 games in and she's had that like consistency with like playing regularly. I think you're really starting to see her shine. She's making big saves when she needs to, but distribution's really good. She had an assist for the goal at the weekend. You know, that's kind of what she can do. It's kind of rare. You see it in the top leagues in Europe on the men's side, like keepers now like playing over the press and it being a real weapon. And I think like for us, like to have Karolina with that distribution gives us some really great options in terms of playing through or playing around, playing over the press from the opposition. She's dangerous with the ball. You know, she makes good choices and she's very assured of her passing. So. Yeah, very modern day like goalkeeper, and yeah, I think we've got a keeper who's perhaps arguably the best in the league. She's playing really well right now and full of confidence. So yeah, we're very happy to have her.